Nigerian government seems to be resisting every voice of dissent, and it's in consonance with the theme of today's event, which is "Teacher, don't teach me nonsense." What do you say to this, sir?
Say to what?
To teacher, the Nigerian government being the teacher here.
Well, it's to fight bad teachers, and the Nigerian government has to be fought for attempting to take away our rights. Rights that we have won, rights that are constitutionally guaranteed, and rights that cannot be taken away from Nigerians. And that was Fela's message, that we must fight for our rights.
Lastly, so I'm going to ask, yeah, revolutionaries in Africa have been alleged that every time you always fight, but it turns out that every time a new government comes, you continue to fight. Does fighting not have an end, and can revolutionaries not come into power to continue to teach what you feel should be taught?
We have to keep up the struggle until you have a government of the people, for the people and by the people. It is only such a government brought about through revolution that can recognize and respect the rights of our people.
But revolution is no longer tolerated in Nigeria. Somebody used the word revolution, and is currently in detention. Okay. Is revolution still fashionable, sir?
For sure, whether they like it or not, there has to be a revolution in this country. President Buhari himself had used the word revolution before, and I have continued to insist that the use of the word revolution is not a criminal offense in Nigeria. And nobody has shown me any provision of our law that has criminalized revolution. And so, whether they like it or not, there will be a revolution in this country.
So, do you think Fela's messages have really changed the political phases of Nigeria?
Whether
his messages has touched, they have changed something in terms of politics in Nigeria.
Your audience, right?
Fela's influence cannot be wished away. One of the changes that Fela brought about that is not even talked about at all is the adoption of African names by many Nigerians and many Africans. We all got baptized in Christian homes, and you were given foreign names. But Fela educated people to drop those meaningless names, because every African name has a meaning, conveys a message. And like the Yorubas will say, "Orúkọ ń roni." But a white man may be a stone, or a tree. But for an African, the name means a lot. Even now, you have Christians who were Raphael, Patrick, and the rest of them, who now put Oluwa before their names. And that was part of Fela's revolution. And of course, the moment that our country gets deeper into crisis of underdevelopment, people remember Fela's messages. Everybody in Nigeria remembers Fela. When you are talking of the budget, when you are talking of oppression, when you are talking of injustice, and when you talk about the failure of people to rise up and challenge oppression, you remember Fela's STB. That we're too comfortable. We always get reasons not to fight. You don't want to die, but at the end of the day, people die recklessly on our roads, in our hospitals, and in their homes now. So we are going to die one day, And what I was saying is, why don't you die fighting? And fight for justice, fight for progress, and fight for democracy.
I think what Fela was referring to that time, even up to now, is that there's a lot of history we don't know. There's a lot of background information we don't know as Nigerians, as Africans. Europe has distorted history for their own purposes. They've distorted our own history. They've destroyed our culture, and we're not helping matters by, towing that same line. So it's time for each and every one of us to look within, and then make that positive change. Unfortunately, what is happening right now, even with the politicians, even the so-called leadership, everybody complains about the leadership. Everybody complains about leadership, but you forget that today you and I will become leaders of tomorrow, and then at the same time we continue where they left off. There's no change. So it's not really about the leadership. It's also about the people. People say, "Oh, I want to make a change. I want to make a change." But when you get there, what do? You now become part of the status quo, and then what is the situation? So what else do you expect? So there's a lot you and I can do. And nobody says, where does change come from? Change comes from you and I. It begins with you and I. And we talk about the basic values of life. I mean, the good book talks about love your neighbor, love your God. Are we doing that? The message is so simple. Fela simplified the whole thing. It's just that the government now comes and is a word that complexifies the whole thing. Something that is simple is now made complex. If you and I simply obeyed the laws, there's a law of gravity, the natural laws, there are spiritual laws, laws of love, laws of respect. I wouldn't hurt you, you wouldn't hurt me. It's as simple as, it's so simple. So the solution is so simple. Just respect you, respect me for who I am, respect you for who you are, and maintain your lane. If you really want to know who we are as Nigerians, let me tell you our philosophy. Very simple. If you want to know who we are as Nigerians, watch the way we drive. That says it all. It's simple. You cannot get, if you want to change lane, you cannot get ahead of me. I want to change. No, that is the way we are. It's as if a road go finish. Oh, no, can you turn now? So that is the problem. We are selfish, self-centered, and self-focused. So what I've decided to do is that every day I try to live as like, let me try and make at least one person happy. Put a smile on somebody's face. How? How do you do that? But if you, for instance, if I'm driving and you want to get in front of me, I will allow you. Simple. If I walk into a bank and the cashier is frowning, I'm going to tell her, look, life is hard enough. Why make it harder by frowning? Do you know how many muscles you have? Just add value, add spice, add salt, add life, add light to somebody's life. Simple and straightforward. And I hope that what I'm saying here will impact on somebody too. You see, your life is not about you. Your life is about what you can do for the next party.
There's some people who blame on the economy and some other things come together.
You see, that's the problem again. Economy, this and that. Everybody complains about the darkness. Everybody complains about darkness. I have decided to stop complaining about the darkness. I have simply decided to light a candle, light a torch, and let people come to my light. Simple and straightforward. I'm tired of saying this and that. Everybody, we talk too much. We talk too much. The solution, what is the solution? Oh, there's no light, no water. It's the same old song, different key. Same old songs, different progression. Same old songs, different, whatever it is. What can you do to solve the problem? Fela did it. He tried it. He tried as much as he could. He impacted, he imparted, he influenced, he initiated, and he motivated. That's why people like Femi can come out and continue with what he's doing. That's why people like who else again? There's Shei Sholagbade. There's quite a number of social musicians who are trying to make impact. Are they making impact? I don't know. Probably they are. But the message is at least the seed of the message is being sown. The seed is being sown, and one day it will germinate.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. My name, Muiwa Majakudumi. My profile, Father Lord, what do I say? I used to be in the music business. I used to run a club called Jazzville many years back, and I shut it down in 2001. Whether I'm coming back or not, I don't know. But my son loves music. My son is there with Down syndrome. And I guess my focus right now is on pushing my son to do what he loves doing, and that is music. And that's one reason why I'm here, so that he could hear, listen, and learn.
How are you doing?
At the moment, fine.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm okay.
All right. Teacher Don't Teach Me Nonsense, Felabration 2019. What can you say about this thing?
Teacher don't teach me nonsense. It's high time for us to understand what that sentence means. Teacher don't teach me nonsense. So far, teacher has been teaching us nonsense since the inception of white people here. We should start having the conceptual ideology of knowing how to stop the teacher don't teach me nonsense by establishing Fela University. So teacher don't teach me nonsense will stop.
How is that possible?
We can start it right now by doing little contribution, because in less than 7 years, Fela will be 30. So what are we gonna go home with? Is it everyday Felabration? Someone like Chimamanda, the Oyebode professor, myself, and a lot of people, if we start contributing, kobo, like every conscious African, start contributing 100 naira, 200 naira, according to your money from your country. Before Fela get to 30 years, we can form something, establishment of Fela University. That could be a way out for African cultural development. If not, Africa may be wiped away from the cultural history of the world.
Established in Nigeria or in Africa? Or
Established some anywhere, it could be anywhere. It must not be that. Let me tell you, the greatest place you can find Fela Kalakuta Republic is in New York, not even Nigeria.
Not even Nigeria.
Well established. My wife is an American, okay? And I'm a citizen of Nigeria. My wife is also a Nigerian by marriage.
Now, can you tell us the legacy Fela left behind?
Legacy Fela left behind, to your own understanding, maybe he built house, he did this, blah, 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 is something that will make people to worship him less than 100 years, like you worship Jesus the Christ, like you worship a lot of deities from foreign land, send this and that. Fela has been sent ever before he was born. He was a saint before he was born. So the legacy he left is something that will make him to be worshipped as one of the deities. My name is Ajimiri Osuago. I'm a chefu. I'm a Pan-African artist and a cultural researcher.
I think what I can draw out really is the fact that we need to raise our voices, because when you talk about teacher don't teach me nonsense, that teacher is used in a generic sense, and of course Fela in that music actually talked about government, so we need to tell our governments not to lie about the things they claim to have been doing. Sometimes they tell us they've done everything and suddenly the roads are collapsing. So we need to ask government to stop teaching us nonsense. We need to ask those in authority. But more importantly, and that is the point I'm making now, that we also need to begin to tell citizens to stop teaching ourselves nonsense. Because we're in a dangerous situation whereby citizens begin to justify the actions of government in power. You criticize when Jonathan was there, but you criticize now, people say it's hate speech. You hate the person that is there. We begin to criminalize thought. We begin to criminalize dissent and justify things that should not be justifiable. So for me, we citizens have a responsibility. There must be common standards of governance. There must be things that we agree upon. That if a government is not doing this, we speak with one voice against that. When we don't do that, when we allow petty divisions on the basis of religion, on the basis of ethnicity to permeate our thinking, then we are teaching ourselves nonsense, and I don't think that is helpful for the cause of Nigerian people.
Okay, looking at the lifetime of Fela, he made so much impact in the society,
sure,
especially in the political side of Nigeria. Now, what lessons did you learn from Fela when he was alive?
The lesson I learned from him, and of course, I also authored a book, Fela, Yesterday's Message as Today's Reality. The lesson I learned from him really is the fact that it pays to be consistent. Despite all the persecutions, he never for once waived his principle. He was consistent. He was speaking truth to power, and that has made him to endure, not just in the physical sense, but even in the spiritual sense. That generations that were not alive when he was born, merely listening to his music, made them to realize that we need to do more. So, and I think in one of his songs, I think it's Originals of Our Head, he talked about some of those social issues he talked about. But he also said that, look, if we want to give our head, we need to fight for it. And that is also about, deciding that we need, a revolutionary change in our society. We shouldn't be afraid of saying it. When we were in school, I was NANS president. We used to use revolution to sing. So why should revolution become an offense? Only person that is deceiving him or herself will say we don't need a revolution. We need a revolution in our educational system. We need a revolution in our, communities. And so for me, that revolutionary message that Fela passed on is a major, major thing that I've learned from him, that it's good to stay on the line of principles and it's good to fight for what you believe in.
Okay. In Nigeria and Africa as a whole, do you think Fela left a good legacy?
Well, of course, it's so obvious. You heard what Bobby Wine said, how he was influenced by him. You heard what Professor Akin Yebode said, how a Nigerian head of state went abroad, and the people said, oh, you are from Fela's country. I do not think that there is any citizen from this country, Nigeria, that is as globally acknowledged and known as Fela. That says something.
All right, thank you so much. What's your name?
Lanre Arogundade.
Representing your profile?
Well, I'm a journalist. I just told you, author of Fela, Yesterday's Message as Today's Reality, and I'm the Executive Director of International Press Center.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you. All right.
Welcome.